We keep it simple with precision. Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing great. So welcome to yet another video. Of course, in this video I'm going to be breaking down two beautiful moves I caught last week on GU and NU, GBPUSD and NZDUSD. I used a super simple trading strategy to catch these moves, and I want to share how I did it, how I anticipated for the move to happen, how I entered, how I exited the move. And the reason I'm sharing this is so you can do the same, right? So you can start making money from the foreign exchange market as well. Okay, so let's go on to the charts, of course. Okay, so we're gonna start off on GBPUSD. I'm gonna run through this pretty quickly just so the video is not too long and so you guys can get the gist quickly. So GBPUSD, I went long on GBPUSD. It was actually last week. Today's Saturday, so the previous week, towards the end of the previous week, was when I took the trade and finally played out after playing around for a long time. So let's go to a clean chart so I can break down, you know, entry, exits, the whole anticipation. Okay, so on a clean chart, clearly we can see that price is going to the upside, right? We're going up. Okay, that's the first thing. So secondly, with my trading strategy, I have like a checklist that I go through. So the first thing I do is identify the direction. So what are we doing on different time frames? So on daily time frame right now, we're going up, right? And then the second thing you do is identify your zone. So support and resistance, supply and demand. So here on the daily time frame, let me actually use a bar replay tool and clean this out. Okay, so this is what the chart looked like before I got into the trade. I had my zone set up here. Okay, and how did I get this zone? Is from multiple touches. So when you are on a high time frame and you see you know, a touch at a particular zone and then another touch and another touch, that zone becomes a high probability area of interest. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. Daily time frame, we're going up. Secondly, I can identify a clean area of interest, right, with multiple touches. So I go down to the 4-hour time frame, and on the 4-hour time frame I tend to fine-tune my zones just a bit more, just because we're seeing more details, right, with the price action. So I had a 4-hour zone set up here. Okay, and I was basically anticipating for price to go to the upside. Now the next question would be, how do I get into the trade, right? That's the next question. So the first thing you do, of course, is to watch, right? You keep watching. Okay, at this point price has actually come to our area of interest, but this is not enough data for us to get into the move just yet. Okay, we need price to sort of play around in this area for a bit, then show its hand before we get into the trade. Okay, so if you play the replay, the bar replay tool to see, okay, price came even deeper into the zone, right? Came into deeper into the zone. So now at this point, the next thing on my mind is I'm going to be getting in on an engulfing candle or some form of bullish variation pattern. Okay, engulfing candle or bullish variation pattern. So bullish variation pattern, and I'm talking about candle pattern. That could be either a morning star formation or a bearish candle and then 2 or 3 bullish candles right after. That would be classified as a variation, just because it includes more than one candle stick, like an engulfing candle. Do you get? So yes, so at this point my eye was basically on this particular candle right here. I needed price to engulf this candle to basically indicate that buyers have come into the market. Okay, so now the next thing I did was basically waited for my entry confirmation, right? I set my alerts at this zone up here. Actually, of course I cannot set an alert because we're in bar replay mode, but I set my alerts at that point there, anticipated for price to basically close above the candle. Okay, so at this point, price basically went all the way, like it really went high, right? And if I had entered lowest long position, if I had entered up here, it would have basically eaten into my profit, and I would have gotten a 1-to-1 RR instead of 1-to-2 minimum RR, right? So instead of doing that, I waited for some form of pullback just so I could really take advantage of the move, right? And at this point here was when I entered. So looking at this, the candle pattern here, we can see a bullish variation because we have a bearish candle and then we have 3 back-to-back bullish candles afterwards, right? Which indicates that the price is going to go up. Okay, but I just needed you know, kind of like a tighter entry, just give me better risk to reward. So I was just waiting and anticipating for price to come a bit lower so that I could get in. Okay, my SL would be right here, beyond the area of fluctuation, and then my target would be at the previous high. Okay, right here. Okay, so then we anticipate, and then of course price came into the zone and we got in. Okay, I think this was, yeah, on a Friday. I was in profit and then in a bit of drawdown or around entry, and then market close. But I still left my trade open because one main thing that was on my mind is I've gotten into the trade off of a strong area of interest, right, which is off of the daily time frame. Okay, so that means that the trade is an A+ setup based on my own trading strategy. Okay, so I basically stayed in the trade. I just waited for my target to hit. My first target for this trade was going to be up here, right, because this is a previous high. That is the one, that's the target that could be the most guaranteed target. Okay, now price could continue to go up, but a lot of times price tends to create some form of double top, right, by coming back to retest, and then it could even potentially just like switch direction. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take my profit when price comes here, and we'll be done with this trade. I will move on to the next trade. Okay, so I basically waited, right? You just wait for price target to hit, and that was yesterday. No, that was Thursday, right? Yeah, that was on Thursday morning. I closed the trade. Okay, so it's it's really straight to the point, right? When it comes to the technical aspect, like it's straight to the point. So I'm going to break down NU right now. This is the NU setup that I took. It was a simple break and retest as well. 1 to 2.5 RR. Let me go onto a clean chart so I can do the full breakdown. Starting off of the daily time frame. Okay. So of course, where price is going up, we draw off our zones. Okay, so on this NU trade, of course, price was going to the upside. Next thing, you get out your horizontal tool or your rectangle tool, and you know, set up your zones. Okay, then I went down to the 4-hour time frame. On 4-hour time frames, of course, you're going to see more details, right, with regards to like price action and more candles. So for this move, I was really just anticipating for a quick impulse. I was not anticipating for a huge move to happen, but I was just anticipating for a simple break and retest move, just to get in and get out of the trade. Okay, so what I had here was my area of interest set up here on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, remember, daily time frame is going up, 4-hour is clearly going up as well. We're creating higher highs and higher lows, right? It's fairly obvious. So drawing out this zone here, we can see that, okay, price, let me actually use the bar replay to okay, yeah, so this is what it was looking like. Okay, we can see here price did an impulse, did a retracement, and now it's sort of playing around. We have a previous zone here that price basically broke out of. Okay, and now it has come back to retest. Okay, however, we need the markets to show its hand. We need the market to tell us that, okay, buyers are now in control, it's time to execute. Okay, and the indication for that is, like I just said, bullish variation, bullish engulfing when you want to buy. Okay, so I believe this was at 5 a.m. this candle got printed. Yeah, candle opened at 1 and closed at 5. It was when I was in between feeding sessions with my son, of course. I woke up to feed him, I checked the markets, and I was like, time to execute, and I got into the trade, right? Long position to out here, SL here. Now for the target, the previous high basically was going to give me a 1 to 1.5 RR, right? So I was like, you know what, let me see, let me go up to the higher time frames to see if there's a zone where price could potentially go higher off of, right? So give me a better risk to reward. Okay, so I went up to the daily time frame, of course, to identify a potential zone. So with that, I got out my horizontal tool or my horizontal line, and I started to move it like this. Okay, now as I move it, you see we already have a couple of touches on the higher time frame. So we see here we have a level of support, level of resistance, level of support, resistance, and then some playing around. Okay, so that was the zone I was looking at for price to potentially go up to. Going back down to the 4-hour time frame, I set my target up there. Okay, just so I can get a 1 to 2 minimum RR. All right. Yeah, so at this point I was in the trade and basically watched it play out. So it went straight into profit. It barely even went into any form of drawdown. Okay, so it went into profit and literally went in my exact target and then reversed. Okay, so you see why it's important for you to understand zones, for you to understand support and resistance, supply and demand, because market tends to go up to those zones to react off of. Now I'll be dropping a more detailed video on how to identify your support and resistance zones, so that you guys can also take advantage of the market in that way. Okay, so I hope this was easy to understand. If you have any questions, drop a comment below and I will answer your questions. With that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video, of course.